They have a new sign out front of the Wildwood True Bible Church of Jesus Christ, non-affiliated. It all started about a year ago. One of the oldest Episcopalians in Wildwood died. There aren't many Episcopalians in Wildwood, but the ones who are there have a nice, tidy little church down on Main Street. It's made of old bricks, and it's got ivy growing on it and big, bright red doors arched at the top with black hardware and arched stained glass windows down the sides, lots of boxwoods and nandinas with bright red berries and forsythia that in the spring are just blazing yellow. This particular old Episcopalian, when he was younger, took a lot of interest in the grounds of that little church, and in his will he left a nice gift for landscaping. They hired a landscape architect from out of town who took the measure of their property and of their bequest and spent every penny of it dressing up the grounds of that church elegantly. There was a color picture of it on the front page of the Wildwood daily paper and a caption over the picture, "The New Jewel of Main Street." And immediately all the larger churches in town felt outdone. They saw the threat to their latest evangelism efforts. They thought of losing prospective members to the Episcopalians. That was just unbelievable. And so one by one, they each scraped up all the surplus money they could find in their budgets, and they did their own landscaping. Well, that got noticed over at the Wildwood True Bible Church of Jesus Christ, non-affiliated. Only they didn't have any surplus funds in their budget. So they did the best they could. They scheduled a cleanup day one Saturday. They asked people not just to bring their work gloves and their garden tools, but to look around their yards, to thin their irises, to dig up any spare shrubs they might find. And let's get this church to looking like we care about it, they said. It was on that cleanup day they discovered their problem. Constance Greenpasture was in the back of the church raking several years' worth of leaves from under the shrubbery when her rake hit glass, and out came an empty vodka bottle. More raking and more bottles, until finally she had a pile of about 30 empties, plus a lot of cigarette butts, and several used, well, let's just say items of recreation that even she couldn't bring herself to name. She called the others to come around and see what she'd found, and pretty soon there was a crowd just clucking over the disgrace of it. What some people will do at a church, they said. The disgrace grew to alarm as they considered the fire hazard from all those cigarettes. It's a wonder this church hasn't burned to the ground, they said. And people were beginning to agree that something had to be done. When one of the teenagers standing over at the edge of the crowd pointed out that the couple of shrubs growing there at the back of the church looked sort of suspicious, not that he would know for sure, but he thought he'd seen leaves like that on some handouts he'd gotten at the health class, pretty soon the police were called. The shrubs were taken away as evidence, and the officers said that the police force would start keeping a better eye on things. But the church leaders weren't satisfied with that. The police have their hands full, they said, just watching for terrorist activity. We need to do something. And that's how, in spite of the lack of any surplus funds in the budget, a new sign was bought for the church. It said, "The Wildwood True Bible Church of Jesus Christ, non-affiliated. No trespassing." When it was installed, some of them looked very satisfied. but some of the church members began to wonder if it struck just exactly the right tone for a church, you know. They didn't say anything right away until some of their friends who went to other churches told them people in town were laughing about it, about the church that was trying to keep people out. And so another meeting was held, and it was decided that they just couldn't afford another new sign, so they got a small square sign to hang off the bottom of that one. And so now it says, "The Wildwood True Bible Church of Jesus Christ, non-affiliated. No trespassing. Everybody welcome."